Hi, I'm Queenie Yu at Bullet Point News with Todd Canning, President of the Canadian Union of Public Employees, Local 1734, which represents education workers of the York Region District School Board. Um, Todd is also part of the provincial bargaining table. Welcome, Todd.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, Todd, you've been in meetings all day. Could you just give us a quick summary and timeline of the issues? What has CUPE been asking for? What has been the government's response?
What CUPE's been asking for is basically protections for education in our schools. Services have degraded now over a number of years, even ahead of COVID and through COVID. And the current government has kept money out of the education system. And now we are in a time of crisis in our schools. And we are in a position where we are looking to better our classrooms, which of course has direct impact on our students, and achieve better services through supports from this government. However, we are up against a big wall, and this government, with everything that they've been saying recently in the media and so on, they're thinking that our requests are, unpalatable, and we disagree with that. We feel that it's very palatable. Our members have been without significant raise now in excess of a decade, and our members earn on average of $39,000 a year. And they're working other jobs, two, three jobs in order to survive. As we all know, York Region is not a cheap place to live, and our members are struggling. Our members are losing their homes. Um, our members are losing their rental homes. They're not qualifying for any other rentals just because they don't make enough money, according to what the landlords are asking. And so they're in a real predicament. In addition to that, they're struggling to provide food on the table for their families, and that's a real issue. The inflation right now, as we all know, is sky high. It's forecasted to remain there for some time, and our members are in a position where they've lost hope of being able to continue to provide for their families without fighting this government for just a fair wage. They're not looking for the stars and moons. They just want a fair wage. And so that's really where we're at. In York Region with our employer is one where they respect our members. I represent approximately 3,200 members in the York Region District School Board. And some of the classifications, we have approximately 70, but some of them are EAs, DECEs, clerical, secretarial, IT, library workers, and among many others. And so these people want to be in the schools. They want to provide the services that they are hired to deliver to these students. And our students need the services, especially coming out of COVID. They're really struggling. And so we're asking this government to inject into the school system the supports that are needed. They are just, claiming the same speaking message time and time again to the public. But what our students need are supports. There is a hiring and a recruitment, a retention problem across this province. It's certainly in our school board, but it is a provincial issue. School boards cannot attract workers. They can't retain workers. Our workers don't make the salaries of teachers. Our workers don't work 12 months of the year. We have a small proportion that do, but by far the majority are laid off in the summer months and on the winter break and on the March break, and they have to go on EI or they have to have other jobs, like I mentioned just a moment ago. And so our members are really, pushing for a very fair contract right now, and that's where we're at. this afternoon.
Specifically, what increase are your members asking for?
Our members are asking for a flat wage increase, and that is $3.25. And that is so that we don't increase the gap in disparity amongst the different classifications and, of course, with our other education partners. And so, after much consultation across the province with our 55,000 members, that has been the value that's being asked for. And so it would be a flat rate wage increase that would be applied to every classification or every job type, every person.
You have obviously told the government about the financial struggles of your members. What has their response been? And do they have a counteroffer?
Well, that's still in discussions, and even as late as today, that there's things that are ongoing from the provincial perspective, and we're hoping that right now we're waiting for a response from the government, and we hope that it's a fruitful response. But if not, we're ready. And you know, this government has leaned in way too far now. They've overextended their governance in this province. And not only do we see it and feel it, but I think every worker in the province sees it and feels it today. And so we're ready to continue the push for what we know is right. And now that you know they're taking away our chartered rights and free collective bargaining rights, that's really concerning. Those are some fundamental principles in the country of Canada, and that is alarming. And I hope the public are really paying attention to what is happening at Queens Park. And so we're going to continue to push for a fair contract and for them to come to the table and to speak. Um, CUPE is at the table, at the ready. OSBCU, which represents all of the CUPE school board workers, we're there. We're at the table, at the ready for them.
So the government is trying to pass legislation to make it illegal for your members to strike on Friday. Is that correct?
Hmm.
But
That is.
what I was told is that despite that legislation, your members still plan to strike on Friday. Is that true?
Strike, we're calling it a political protest. And so we want to make the members of parliament who are legislating this bill, we want to make them well aware that we disagree with it and we disapprove of their overextension and their reach that goes far beyond anything that's ever been thought about with regards to collective bargaining between an employer and a union. And so we're going to make our voices known.
So if this legislation does pass, do your members intend to strike just for Friday, or sorry, protest only on Friday or other days as well?
I think our members are ready to do whatever needs to be done. And I think that needs to be the key messaging. I think really the focus should be put on the government and the pressure needs to be put on them to really come to the table and to bargain. We've been down here for 3 months. We've been able to be in a bargaining position for in excess of 5 months. And the government has just pushed this off. And for the last couple months, they haven't even really shown up for a good portion of it. And that's just not fair to the students, to their parents, and to all taxpayers of this province of Ontario. So, yet to be determined. However, I think our members are ready and they've had enough. And so it's yet to be seen, but we shall see what happens. We hope that the government will give a fruitful response to the needs of the schools and of the students, and they acknowledge that our contract can be part of those service needs as they should be, and that they need to repair some of the damage that they've done over the last few years with the starving of funding in our school system.
If this legislation passes and your members protest on Friday, they're going to be fined. Can you talk about that fine? And are they really prepared to pay that fine given the financial struggles that they're experiencing?
You know, the fine is another intimidation tactic by this government. And as I previously stated, our members have had enough. We're part of a greater union, the largest union in Canada. 300,000 members from coast to coast to coast. We have their full support in every way, and the fines aren't a deterrent. The fines are just another tactic by this government to bully their way to what they feel is their position, and they're trying to bully the small people. Our members are the lowest paid people in the education sector, and this is what they're doing to them. And I think you could talk to any parent who's had any interaction with a CUPE educational support worker in their school, and they would have nothing but positivities to share. We work very closely with students, and we go there with passion each and every day to take care of their children, our students. And fines like this, at this point, we're not deterred.
Okay. Will any schools in the York Region District School Board close because they can't operate safely without CUPE represented staff this Friday if a protest happens?
Well, I think earlier this morning, I think this is a question for YRDSB, but I believe that they have released information this morning that they are looking to close schools to students.
Okay. Has CUPE thought about the impact a protest would have on students after they've been away from regular classes for 2 years because of COVID?
Absolutely. Every day, our members think about the students. They are intimately involved in their education trek through our education system. We don't want to be out here doing this, but at this point, this government just does not listen. They do not listen to parents. They do not listen to the workers in the schools. We need supports in the schools to further deepen the educational needs and requirements that students need for their success in their career journey of education. This government does not care. They are all about just padding their donor base with any kind of business opportunity, and they are showing disregard for education of our students, and that's a big problem. And I think that question needs to be asked of them. It's not the workers that are the problem. Our workers go in and day out to serve our students. And that is something that drives them to be in this career. They're not in this career to make a lot of money. They are in it for the love of helping students better their own education. And that is the exact focus of why they exist. In York Region, we have a severe retention issue. On any given day, on average, we have about 200 unfilled jobs that are predominantly EA or DECE focused. That means, at the very least, 200 students, and if there's a ratio of 3 to 1, it'll go up even higher, don't have the supports that they need in the classroom. And that's because anywhere in the province, they can't retain or recruit anybody. The wages are too low. The working conditions aren't what people want to have in their own personal life right now. And that's the problem. And this government needs to focus on that. They need to build up the education system after COVID. Everybody's highly sympathetic to the pandemic. We are all still coming out of it. And our students are having to readapt. And some of our little ones in our full day kindergarten programs, they're just in school. They've missed a very significant part of their childhood educational development, and now they're coming into classrooms and they're struggling because they've been home for 2 years, and it's our members that are there day in and day out, showing them care, love, and support, and we want to be there, but this government just does not care. and they're starving education of the resources that they have. Their chest is full. The auditor just stated that there's over $2 billion in reserves, and yet they are pushing these workers, the lowest paid workers in the province of Ontario, to the brink of having to do these protests or these strike, whatever you want to call it. They are fighting for students, and we have parent supports. Today, parent groups are rolling in. Labor groups are rolling in across the province. You just walk up the sidewalk, and people who know who we are saying, keep the fight going. You guys are doing the right thing for our students and our kids. Thank you. And so we just need to continue on to advocate for the needs that are there. We just need our government to listen, and they're just choosing not to listen. They are bullying their agenda in every which way, and when they feel pressure, they do something as egregious as what's happening this week, where they are stripping people of their chartered rights. And that should be really concerning. It was just during the pandemic that people were very upset with the government overstepping their bounds with regards to vaccination or masking. And no matter where you stand on that issue, people were very upset. And so this equally has impact, the same. And I don't think people are really realizing that. And I just hope that they tune in and pay attention to what this government is truly doing, because it affects every worker in this province.
Bill 124 caps raises at 1% for a 3-year period for public sector workers. There's a court challenge to repeal the bill. Could you please talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. Bill 124 was a bill that was put into effect at the last round of our bargaining. Approximately the timelines line up, and that's about 3 years ago. And it capped all 3 years of the contract remuneration at 1% for everybody. So as of right now, our bargaining group, the education support workers, have fulfilled their obligations under that bill, and we've done our 3 years of 1%. And now that's going on to other sectors and so on. Healthcare is the next one that's having to deal with it. And what a way to thank all of our healthcare workers coming out of this pandemic with all that they've done to take care of people. I think of all of the work done with our seniors, and our hospitals, and this is the way that they're going to be thanked for the next 3 years. It's shameful. The bill is absolutely shameful, and we hope that it's repealed. And that is our hope for people who are now heading into it. Unfortunately for us, we're just through it, and so we've completed our time. But that doesn't mean that we're still not passionate about it. We are, and we support the repeal of the bill, and we certainly are going to join our Labour partners as they advocate for the repealing of it as well.
How can the general public support CUPE members in this fight?
I think the best way that they can support, number one, is to call their MPP and let them know that this isn't fair. No matter what political party that you support, everybody, it's a Canadian principle. We all want fairness for all. That's what our society is built upon, and that's what is expected. And this government is not doing that. So the first thing I would suggest is contacting your local MPP and just sharing with them your concerns. You can email them, you can call them. Further, I would suggest that you visit a website, 39,000isnotenough.ca. And this is a website that really shows the need and the concerns for our schools right now. And it gives real life testimonials of real workers that are in this battle with the government right now, and who are advocating for themselves or advocating for some young workers coming behind them. But That's a website that parents and community members can visit. It's an outward website. It's not meant for members, it's meant for public. And so I would suggest that people visit that website and have a look through there. And there is a way on that website that you can email your MPP in your area by using a form there. So it can assist you in a number of ways to advocate. Also, workers in your local community. There'll be signs or local schools. Show your support by just encouraging them. They've been battered. Through COVID, it was our members that were in the schools while everybody else was sheltering in safe place at their own homes. There's some students that can't achieve their educational goals via online learning, and for that, I think of our special needs students, and they were actually in the buildings, and it was our members that were there, along with some teaching partners. And they worked really hard in times that we didn't know all of the details of what the pandemic was presenting from a health perspective. And a thank you goes a long way. And you know what? Most parents do, if not the majority. They are highly encouraging, they're highly appreciative when they see our members in the schools. And so, by contacting MPPs and having an encouraging smile when they meet our members at our schools, I think will just go a long way. And to show support of where we are all transversing through right now.
How often do you survey your members, and what percentage of them want to protest on Friday if the legislation passes?
Well, we survey our members often. As a president, being in tune with your members' needs is critical to the operation of a supporting union. And so, with where we're at right now, we've had unprecedented um, response from our membership. We have 55,000 members across the province. Over 45,000 voted in favor of a strike mandate with a 96.5% yes vote. That says it all right there. The engagement piece, 45,000 members of 55,000, that's well in excess in the mid to high 80s, and then with a very high yes strike vote. They are very passionate about what needs to be done. They've been starved themselves for the last decade, along with our school system and our students in our schools. And so we are on the pulse of our membership all the time, and we are well aware of what their needs are right now, and we are pushing forward for all of them across this province.
Besides you, who else is at the bargaining table?
Well, we have our provincial president, Laura Walton, who's front and center in the media. And we have a vice president, the French vice president, and we have 7 area vice presidents, which I'm one of them. My area is coined Area 3, and basically it's the York, Peel, and Toronto area. And together, along with a number of people from our CUPE national office giving support, we have legal support, we have other supports. We make up a team that is in contract negotiations right now with the government.
What has the Minister of Education said to you and your
Well, the
team?
Minister of Education, he's only speaking to us through the media. He is not at the table. Despite what he says in the media that he's at the table, at the ready, in fact, he's not. We've never seen him there in the months of bargaining. He does have a team of representatives that are there. However, he has not come to the table. And at times, I'm sure he's instructed his team not to come to the table because we haven't sat across from each other in weeks and weeks and weeks. We have a mediator, a private mediator working with us right now, and that mediator is going between us. But in fact, the education minister has not shown his face. He is just staying at Queen's Park or other places. And in fact, while we are, going through intense bargaining, he's at events posting selfies about things that are absolutely nothing to do with his portfolio. And so that's really concerning. But yet he is saying to the public that he is there, but we have not seen him to date. There's a trustees association, which represents all of the school boards as employers across this province, which are approximately 72, I believe. And then there's the government or the Ministry of Education. And then, of course, there's us. So it's sort of to be a triangle. However, this government has just taken control over what we would deem the CTA or the school board side, and it sort of has become the union negotiating with the government directly.
When do you expect your next meeting to be, and when do you think we could have another update?
Well, we're here at the ready. And so it could be in a matter of minutes, it could be hours. And we're hoping to hear from the government with some positivity instead of their tactics of shaming us and otherwise. We know what's needed in the system. We have the support of the public, the parents, the students, and we are going to push onward. This government just needs to start listening. And so a little less talking and a lot more listening and some action, some positive action. And so it could really happen at any moment, to be honest.
Great. Thank you so much, Todd. Todd Canning, president of CUPE Local 1734. Thank you so much for your time and good luck with your negotiations.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.